take me back to the Seelbach. Hello and welcome to Intoxicated Masculinity. If it's Wednesday, we have a cocktail video coming at you. Today we are continuing with our whiskey cocktails in November. I don't have a clever acronym or a clever little hashtag, it's just whiskey cocktails in November. Specifically bourbon cocktails. Today we are continuing on with the Seelbach cocktail. I didn't actually know about this cocktail because I've been to the Seelbach many times. It's a hotel in Louisville that I've stayed at several times. It's a very nice hotel, very old hotel. If you go there, you gotta go into the basement to see their very historic little ballroom down there. And they have a cocktail. So as you're watching this, I probably just got back from Kentucky or I'm just leaving for Kentucky, one of the two. And so I felt like this was an appropriate cocktail, and I love the hotel and I love the city, so we're talking about the Seelbach cocktail. It was created, not surprisingly, at the Seelbach in 1917. I don't have a ton of history about who created it and what the circumstances surrounding it, but we have a year and a place, and I think that's all we really need. I think this cocktail is going to be a little bit different than some of the other ones we had. It is a top-off cocktail, kind of like we talked about with the Kentucky tea last week, but this is going to be topped off with something a little bit different. Don't worry, nothing gross. But enough talking about the cocktail, let's start making the cocktail. All right, we're back and we have some ingredients. One thing you will notice very quickly about this particular cocktail is what I'm putting in the shaker is not very much. And that is because this is primarily a champagne cocktail. Which I was sort of a little bit dubious of at first, but I really wanted to try it out, so I think that's what we're gonna do. So, we're gonna start off with our dry curacao. It calls for Cointreau or triple sec, but I think this is going to be fine. And we are going to toss in half an ounce of our Cointreau or triple sec or dry curacao. And we are going to toss in a mere 3/4 of an ounce of bourbon. We are continuing on with our Ezra Brooks Cask Strength. Again, I think it's a good, affordable bourbon, and I think that it's available everywhere, and I think it punches up with the proof a little bit, so I think it's a good choice for this. We're going to toss in, it calls for 1 dash. I never toss in 1 dash, toss in 2, because like bitters, I like bitter cocktails, so we're going to toss in 2 dashes of Peychauds. This is actually cask aged Peychauds. And 2 dashes of our Angostura bitters. And that is the body of the cocktail. So we literally have about 1.25 ounces to 1.5 ounces worth of total ingredients here. Again, this is going to be topped off with our Brut Champagne, and I'm really interested to see how this turns out. So let's get some ice in our shaker. All right, let's go ahead and toss that in a shaker and give it a good shake. Once again, you just want to get a good little layer of frost built up on the shaker, and then it is ready to go. And we are going to strain this into a chilled flute glass. I'm actually going to double strain this. This doesn't actually have any citrus, so you don't necessarily have to double strain it. And now, we just need to grab our final ingredient, which is our chilled champagne. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and pop our champagne. There you go. And we're just gonna top the rest of this off with our chilled champagne. And I am incredibly curious to see what the final result is going to taste like. We're going to give that just a moment for it to settle down. Alright, so I don't usually do this, but I kind of want to go over our ingredients again because I'm kind of doing this in my head. So we have a little bit of dry curacao. So we have an orange liqueur, we have some bitters, we have a little bit of bourbon, which we are now cutting with our extra dry Corbel. I'm sure this is not the #1 best-selling champagne. It is actually technically a sparkling wine. It's from California. Let's give it a try. it's kind of interesting. I feel like what we made is interesting champagne. So there is some underlying bitterness, and that is in a good way. Like we are tasting our bitters just a little bit. They're not overpowering at all. I'm looking for the Curacao and I'm not finding it. I guess it's maybe there a little around the outside. The bourbon kind of comes off as just sort of a general sweetness throughout the drink. This is going to be a very difficult cocktail to sort of rate as far as, do I like this cocktail? I would say I don't love this cocktail, but on the other hand, if you ask me, would you rather have just a glass of champagne or this, as a person who's not really into champagne, I would take this. Yeah, it's. I think if I could retitle this drink, it would be "Make Champagne Interesting," and I think it does kind of make champagne interesting. It is you were altering the flavor of the champagne. This is really, we're talking bourbon cocktails, and this is a cocktail that has bourbon, so I stand by that it is sort of valid to talk about this month. But obviously, there's a lot more champagne in here than there is anything else. But I think overall it works. Yeah, ultimately, I definitely prefer that to just champagne. I find champagne to be kind of not particularly interesting, which my wife is not particularly happy about. But I think this is pretty interesting. If you're somebody who likes champagne, God, I'm not sure if you like this or not like this. If you're somebody, a better comparison is possibly if you're somebody who doesn't like champagne, and you want to drink something that is going to taste a little bit like a cocktail, but basically be a glass of champagne, this is what you have. It's definitely an interesting cocktail. Sorry, I keep going back to it because I'm trying to find it. It's okay. Finally get the dry Curacao. Really get the orange. The orange is coming through a little bit there, a little bit deeper into the cocktail. The bourbon is still a little lost. I did not measure my champagne. The cocktail calls for this to be poured into a flute glass and then topped with champagne, which I did. It is possible you should go a little bit lighter on the champagne than I did. But overall, I'm not unhappy with that at all. Yeah, that's an interesting cocktail that has bourbon in it. I stand by that. And on that bombshell, I want to thank everybody for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a good drink, and have a good day. Editing Mike is like, make the fucking cocktail and quit fucking around.